Prime Minister's released a New Year message acknowledging 2024 was a year of political change and admitting there's still lots more that Labour needs to do over the next 12 months in the hope it will bring people back together.
Now, I know there's still so much more to do, and that for many people it's hard to think about the future when you spend all of your time fighting to get through the week. So I want to be clear. Until you can look forward and believe in the promise and the prosperity of Britain again, then this government will fight for you. A fight for change that will define this year, next year, and indeed every waking hour of this government. We have a clear plan for change.
Well, Keir Starmer has had a hell of a time since taking over as Prime Minister. He's been bashed about a bit and clearly needs to turn over a fresh page. It's a long way from the election campaign where he told us again and again about his humble beginnings.
My dad was a toolmaker.
My dad was a toolmaker.
He was skilled as a toolmaker.
He was a toolmaker, yeah.
Dad was a toolmaker.
He was a toolmaker.
My dad was...
All right, we can probably pause it there, but it led to that question again and again. Was your dad by any chance a toolmaker? And he must long for those days, mustn't he, where that was the only problem he had, that he repeated that clip a bit too often. We've created an AI image with Keir Starmer with his dad's toolmaker's apron on him here, so we can illustrate these policies that he's come out with as part of his New Year message. But boy, oh boy, he would not have expected the real hurricane of difficulty that he's been hit by since becoming Prime Minister. OK, policy number one. It's the houses, 1.5 million new homes. He says restoring the dream of home ownership. That's what he offered yesterday. Policy number two, school. There we are, the set square and the protractor. Children starting school ready to learn. Policy number three, that's either Wallace or Ed Miliband, I'm not sure. But that's all about having greener energy and a more secure energy system. The next policy is the big one, really, NHS, the promise to cut waiting lists dramatically, and it's very, very important for Labour's point of view that they get that one delivered. Then we have here one of the small boats, immigration being reduced, those cross-channel crossings in particular. What else? Up the top, yes, there's Dixon and Dog Green. Neighbourhood police tackling antisocial behaviour in every community. And the very last one was, I think it was kind of a very general one about more cash. Here we go. Harry Enfield, loads of money. More cash in your pocket wherever you live. So it's those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big boilerplate policies all fitting into the toolmaker's jacket. And the question is whether he can deliver, Yasmin.
Well, there are two things. There are two things to say here. When he took all that money for his glasses and suits and whatever, which was such a stupid thing he did, he could have spent the money on learning how to make inspiring speeches. He hasn't got it.
We could bring Guto in for that. That's his job now.
Well, I didn't much care for the man he worked for. But I really think there's a problem here. Margaret Thatcher, remember, was very what's the word?
Stayed?
No, when she spoke, it was very jerky. And she got herself trained.
She did.
And that's one of the problems. So it's a presentation problem. We needed a speech to make us feel of a world full of possibilities, not another list.
But I know the list is useful, though, Guto, isn't it? Because actually there is, leave aside the loads of money one. I don't understand that. But the other ones they're concrete, aren't they?
Ish. I think my problem with Keir Starmer is this Orwellian doublespeak, where virtually everything he promises to do, he implements policies that deliver the exact opposite. So all this is meant to be in the name of growth. Growth has gone down. He said he wanted to get a grip on the economy. Rishi Sunak had got inflation down from double digits to 2%. It's now going up. He said taxes were too high under the Conservatives. They've gone 25 billion plus higher under him. It's sort of a mad world. And as for sleaze, you know, you can sense from Yasmin and others that Labour people are infuriated with how this guy is wearing glasses paid for by Lord Ali every day and suits that are paid for by Lord Ali. And I'm afraid it's not a presentational problem. This guy is a trained barrister. He wasn't a geek sort of tapping away at computers. He is trained in advocacy. He's had plenty of practice throughout his previous career in how to make a case. He's just not charismatic, and he, more importantly, doesn't know what it is that he really believes in and what he's offering, and that's why he's even prepared to queue jump when it comes to his holiday in Madeira.
We'll talk later on about him going, queue jumping on a toboggan ride, but I don't know. He's not sunk yet, though, is he?
Listening to Guto, my instincts to protect him now have risen, because actually, after 14 years of the most sleazy, corrupt Tories who ripped us apart and ripped us off, I find it astonishing that the standards that are now being Keir Starmer is being judged by.
Bus fares up from £2 to £3.
That's quite a big one.
He does need to, and I said the sleaze thing is right to criticise.
But the glasses,
Yeah, but we do need to remember there's a phalanx of right-wing media and opposition that just can't bear it that Labour is in power. And for that,
but they won a massive victory, right? Because in the end, the Conservative government just cratered. So I don't just understand why the pitch was set so fair for them and why it's turned so quickly. I don't get it.
Well, I think because I really do think that there is a very, very big, almost organised, daily, minute-by-minute attack on Labour. But he's no good because he falls into these traps of taking freebies, which he shouldn't do, but also, and in this, Guto's right, you make a promise, you keep it.
That's very, very interesting.
The
By the
pledges,
way,
and it started with when he made pledges with Corbyn, and he broke every one of them. What I need him to do, I want this government to succeed. I never want the Tories back again. I really don't in my life.
What about Farage?
Farage is just a fake guru. Read my column this week. I've called him out as a fake laughing guru. Read my column in the I newspaper. I don't think Farage is the answer.
I'm just saying
either.
that there are people saying he might be the next Prime Minister. That's
I'm saying to you, my politics are with Labour.
Understand.
But increasingly, it's hard to maintain.
I hear your pain, you know. Elon Musk seems to get a lot of mentions given that he doesn't even live here. The latest, we've just heard, he's tweeted that Britain needs a general election.
Oh,
he says a new election should be called. He's kind of wonderfully obsessed with us, I must say. So this is I think just a randomer here. Rachel A. 1892 says Starmer humiliated as new poll shows unprecedented collapse in support for Labour. And that's at the moment just staring us in the face, Guto, isn't it? That they are, something has gone wrong for them. And it's gone wrong in double quick time.
Yes, and what I would say is ignore the polls because he has been elected. He's got 4 to 5 years to do it. So start taking the decisions now that make it better by the end. And I want them to succeed. I'm less tribal than most people you have on this show. I voted for different parties. I just want to see a government of the day do what it promised to do and do it well. They're not doing that. There are a few stars. I think some people like Wes Streeting will actually probably manage to improve the NHS and do us all a favour. But Keir Starmer himself, as a leader, is damaged. And actually to be that damaged at this point, with questions about policy and more about your core character, that is a bad omen. And much as I think it's bad that leaders are changed, and this has not just happened with the Conservatives, happened across the UK over the last few years, you dump leaders mid-thing. I think you're elected, you should be given a chance, but he probably won't at this rate.
Okay.
Last course.
I was thinking, prime ministers who've had this situation, not Blair, who had a 3-year honeymoon, which nobody could understand. Thatcher had a terrible time from 79 to 81.
Falklands saved her.
That's it. And then the Falklands War happened. And you can't write off the unexpected event that suddenly elevates them. After the break, we're taking your calls. James, Sharon, Julie, all waiting. We'll speak to you in a moment, all three and more. We'll hear about your calls on whether it's time to put Labour's mistakes of 2024 behind them. Let them just turn a new page. Julie in Somerset, what do you think?
I think, please, can we give Keir Starmer a fighting chance? I think he's opened up the books and a lot of money's gone missing. We've all had to pay him extra tax, but if he's going to right the NHS, which I work for because I'm a registered general nurse and a state certified midwife, I had to sit and watch the Conservatives tear it apart. Yeah, he needs to get his act together a bit more, but the lady on the left-hand side, oh, by the way, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And the pannier. She's dead right. He needs to get to do something a little bit more constructive, but please, let's give him a chance.
Is it just with the NHS? We're starting to realise the more money you put into it, the more it slows down. So
I agree. I agree.
So it maybe you double the budget and they only treat half as many people. So I don't know what the solution is.
So the situation to sort it out is to cut out the bureaucracy, cut out the middle management.
Right,
Let
the people who do
doctors and
payroll and
nurses take it
stuff.
over.
Yeah. So you cut out the people who print all the paychecks and.
No, not necessarily.
Right.
It needs to be sorted out. That would take time and that would take money. Like other things that the Conservatives have left us in a mess with, the civil servants, the immigration policies.
OK, Julie, thanks so much. Happy New Year to you. It's interesting because the Conservatives had 10, you were there, 14 years of saying we're going to get rid of middle managers. And it's like, they must be like limpets on that thing because they couldn't prize them off.
They destroyed everything.
What, the middle managers?
No, the Tories. And the idea that the NHS, they would say all of the stuff, but they actually undermined it all the time.
Right.
And
OK, well,
we have to stand with the Labour and
Well, they won a massive landslide, so that was the Conservative punishment. There you see the picture of the toolmaker's jacket with the, did we say 6 or 7 main policies in? The last one, the Harry Enfield one, is giving people lots more money. I don't understand that. That's the one that puzzles me. Sharon in Staffordshire, hi.
Good morning. Good morning.
What do you think? Is it time to say to them...
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Sharon. Is it time to say, OK, Labour had a pretty bad back end of 24. Let's give them a new start now.
No, Labour does not need another chance, no more. He's been in 6 months, and look at the state of the country. I think if this man is in for 5 years, this country will be completely ruined. The Labour Party are dishonest, incompetent and unsuccessful.
What have they done that's annoyed you, Sharon? Because they've only been in 5 minutes, really.
What's annoyed me is, firstly, the fuel tax been taken away from the pensioners. That's upset me so much. And also, the money that we're giving to these people that are staying in hotels, coming from the small boats, committing a crime, coming over illegally, and we're putting them up in posh hotels at taxpayers' expense.
No, but we are.
not in posh hotels.
Not in posh hotels.
We are.
And then
That's what we're doing.
this started with the Tories.
Our money.
No, I'm sorry, this did not, and they're not criminals, okay? Some of them have a legitimate right, and 65% or 70% get the right to remain. So don't, this is some of the stuff that comes out in the Tory press all the time. I agree with you that Labour is not doing
let Sharon
well.
speak.
No, Yasmin, I watch the media all the time because I'm really up on it. 90% of these are men, young men. They're not economic. They're just coming into the country to get the freedom.
Sharon, the Conservatives tried the Rwanda plan, and as we know, they only had 2 people go to Rwanda, and they were volunteers, and it cost about 100 million. So that was stopped. And you may say, well, it would have worked in the end, but there was just no sign of it ever starting.
How much money was spent on this?
Because that was the start-up cost.
No, Jeremy, I'm sorry. That Rwanda plan would not have worked.
Well, then what do they do then if they don't do that?
Oh, come on, Jeremy. Look, in all the time they've set it up, only 2 people have gone, and they've had to pay these people to go. They've had to pay them to go.
What's the solution, though?
I think, basically, send them back to France. Send them back there, and we need to stop paying France these 500 million that we're paying them. We need to stop it. OK,
Sharon, thank you. It's really hard because send them back to France is harder than it sounds because you meet them halfway in the channel, you physically turn their boats around, you push them in the other direction, and then the French say, sorry, we're not accepting, so it's all...
We dehumanise these people.
No, but we have to be able to talk about policies without that.
We need to treat them as humans and work out some intelligent policies about how we can... solve this problem. We're not the only country in the world.
No, but I mean, maybe Rwanda is a better plan than what we got now.
How much money went to Rwanda?
But that was the deadweight cost of setting it up, right?
But it was wasted.
Yeah,
the nation's money was wasted.
It was never given a chance to work, not because it wasn't passed in Parliament, it was it was intercepted by lawyers and the legal process delayed it ever being set up. And all I think we need to acknowledge is, were it to have actually been put in place, were there to be a disincentive, you get to Dover, you'll end up in Kigali, would that make a difference? Of course it would, which is why Scandinavian countries are looking at this, Germany's looking at this, even the EU are looking at this, not just sending to a third country, but actually to Rwanda. And I wouldn't be surprised, knowing Keir Starmer, that by the end of his time in number 10, he'll be sending people to Rwanda. He'll just do it under the cover of the EU somehow.
OK, James is in Derbyshire. James, is it time for a new start for Labour?
Look, we all want the government to succeed, but I think the seeds of their disaster were sown in the election and the campaign, because basically they decided to give the Tories nothing to hold on to. They thought they were being terribly clever in making sure there were no attack lines from the right-wing press and all that kind of stuff. But all they actually did was ended up having to go back on everything, or say it wasn't in the manifesto, so we can do it anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's a fair analysis. You can understand why they wanted to do what they had to do to win the election. That's understandable.
Exactly, but the point is they would have lost to a bag of ready salted crisps, And the reason they've had the worst,
the Tories, The
reason they've had the worst honeymoon since Charles and Diana is because of that. Because this is a time of just profound distrust in politics across the world, and what Labour have done. But Starmer should have had his doom chat with the nation before the election. Would he have lost 50, 60 seats? Yes, maybe he would have done. Would have been a much stronger win. And the country would have said, yeah, you're right, we are pretty screwed, and we need to do something pretty serious.
Sure, but there is now a kind of political custom, which is you go in and you go into the Treasury as the new government and you open the drawers and you pretend to be surprised. And the Tories did it. You remember David Law's, the Lib Dem, the coalition did it in 2000, didn't they? They said, we can't believe the mess they've left. And so they've done the same thing. They said we're shocked by it.
Jeremy, this is exactly the point, that Labour are playing by an old playbook. In 2010, Twitter was a little baby. Instagram, it was barely around. The fact is that the way I think Starmer and his advisors think is like, we're in 97, you've got your right-wing press, we need to make sure they're happy. But hardly anyone reads newspapers now. That's the truth of it.
It's a very
this idea
point.
That the right-wing press are very powerful, it doesn't kind of hold true. And I think that what's so sad is that he really is putting the tracks down for Farage to win, because all of the things that people say about British politics can now be applied to Labour because of this cynicism, because of this basically a lack of courage, I think, from Starmer. I think it's been a constant theme.
Thank you, James. Fascinating. Sharp cookie. This is a very good analysis by James. Very interesting analysis, yeah. But I remember in 2015, Ed Miliband thinking, well, the papers are old hat, they don't do anything anymore. So he decides to spend the night before the general election doing an interview with Russell Brand online. And in the end, what killed him? The bacon sandwich in the Sun. So I don't really buy the thing that the newspapers don't.
That nobody reads.
I think the papers are more powerful than that.
All the broadcasters, including GB News, get their feed from the papers.
Yeah, the papers make the weather. They really do. And what's amazing about the Daily Mail is they have been furious with Starmer since the first hour. And arguably they caught the mood.
And Sadiq Khan.
They caught the mood.
And everybody on the left. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, right, there we go. The new year begins for Labour and the government as well. Let's see how it goes. Thanks for your calls. Thanks for the last one particularly. It was interesting.